Have you ever noticed how much of your life has been spent trying to make people understand you? You explain why you made a certain decision. You defend your dreams. You justify your boundaries. You try to prove that your intentions were good. You replay conversations in your mind, thinking that if you had only chosen different words, perhaps they would have finally understood. But sooner or later, life teaches a lesson that changes everything. Not everyone who hears you is listening, and not everyone who listens wants to understand. One of the greatest wastes of human energy is trying to convince people who have already decided not to see your perspective. They are not searching for clarity. They are searching for confirmation of what they already believe. No amount of explanation can change the mind of someone who has no desire to understand. You could present facts with perfect logic, speak with complete honesty, and reveal every detail of your heart, and still walk away misunderstood. Not because you failed to communicate, but because the other person never intended to receive your message in the first place. The truth is that many people don't hear your words through the filter of truth. They hear them through the filter of their own experiences, insecurities, fears, and assumptions. Two people can witness the exact same event and tell completely different stories about what happened. Why? Because people don't always see life as it is. They see life as they are. Once you understand this, you stop carrying the impossible burden of trying to control other people's opinions. Think about how exhausting it is to constantly defend yourself. Every criticism demands another explanation. Every misunderstanding becomes another debate. Every accusation invites another attempt to prove your innocence. Eventually, you become emotionally tired, not because life is difficult, but because you are fighting battles that can never truly be won. There are arguments that have no finish line because the other person is not interested in resolution. They are interested in resistance. One of the most liberating moments in life comes when you realize that your peace is more valuable than your need to be understood. Peace is expensive. It often costs your desire to have the last word. It requires you to walk away from conversations where your dignity is being traded for approval. It demands that you become comfortable allowing people to misunderstand you, if explaining yourself would require sacrificing your self-respect. This doesn't mean you become cold or arrogant. It doesn't mean you stop communicating with the people who genuinely care about you. Healthy relationships are built through honest conversations, thoughtful listening, and mutual respect. When someone sincerely wants to understand, explanation becomes an act of love. But when someone has already decided to judge you regardless of what you say, explanation becomes emotional exhaustion disguised as responsibility. There is an important difference between clarification and justification. Clarification is offered once, with honesty and respect. Justification repeats itself over and over, hoping that enough words will eventually earn acceptance. The first comes from confidence. The second often comes from insecurity. Confident people explain when necessary, and then allow their actions to speak. Insecure people feel trapped in an endless cycle of defending themselves because they believe their worth depends on someone else's agreement. The strongest people are not those who can win every argument. The strongest people are those who know which arguments are not worth entering. Wisdom teaches you that silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is the highest form of confidence. It says, I know who I am, and I don't require your approval to continue becoming that person. Consider how much time is lost trying to manage other people's perceptions. Imagine investing that same energy into improving your skills, strengthening your character, building your health, growing your business, deepening your relationships, or pursuing your purpose. Which investment produces a better future? One creates progress. The other creates frustration. Every hour spent chasing approval is an hour stolen from your own growth. People who constantly explain themselves often believe they are protecting their reputation. Ironically, they usually achieve the opposite. Endless explanations can make even truthful people appear uncertain. Confidence is quiet. Integrity is patient. Character does not panic every time someone forms an incorrect opinion. Character trusts that time has a way of revealing truth more clearly than endless debate ever could. Life has an interesting pattern. Those who misunderstand you today may understand you years later. Those who criticize your discipline today may someday admire your success. Those who laugh at your dreams may eventually ask how you achieved them. But if your happiness depends on changing their opinion before you continue moving forward, You will remain emotionally imprisoned by people who were never responsible for directing your life. One of the greatest freedoms you can experience is realizing that not every opinion deserves a response. Imagine your mind as a beautiful home. Would you invite every stranger who knocked on your door to rearrange your furniture? Of course not. Then why allow every criticism to rearrange your peace? Not every voice deserves access to your emotional world. Some opinions deserve consideration. Others deserve nothing more than a polite smile and your continued focus. There will always be people who misunderstand ambition because they have settled for comfort. There will be people who criticize discipline because it reminds them of promises they never kept. There will be people who question your boundaries because they benefited from your lack of them. Their reaction often says more about their own struggles, goals than it does about your decisions. When you begin growing, don't expect universal applause. Growth changes relationships. Some people celebrate your progress because it inspires them. Others resist your progress because it exposes the areas where they have chosen to remain the same. If your growth makes someone uncomfortable, don't immediately assume you are doing something wrong. Sometimes discomfort is simply the natural response to witnessing change. There is also another reason people keep explaining themselves. They confuse being liked with being respected. They believe that if everyone understands them, everyone will appreciate them. But respect is not earned through endless explanations. Respect is earned through consistent actions over time. People may question your words today, but they cannot argue forever with the evidence of a life lived with integrity. Your actions are always speaking louder than your explanations. Every promise you keep speaks. Every responsibility you honor speaks. Every challenge you overcome speaks. Every act of kindness speaks. Every decision made with integrity speaks. While others are busy discussing you, continue becoming someone whose life tells a story that words could never fully capture. Imagine a tree planted beside a busy road. People pass by every day. Some admire its beauty. Some ignore it completely. Some complain that its leaves fall into the street. Some enjoy its shade. The tree does not spend its days trying to convince every passerby of its value. It simply continues growing. Season after season, year after year, it fulfills its purpose without asking permission from those who refuse to appreciate it. There is profound wisdom in learning to let your life become your explanation. Words have limits. Results do not. Arguments can continue forever. Consistency eventually ends the conversation. When your life reflects honesty, discipline, generosity, humility, and perseverance, you no longer need to convince everyone of your intentions. The evidence becomes impossible to ignore.